This is OPPO's newest Ultra phone. It's the Find X9 Ultra. And this is the first Ultra phone that OPPO are going to sell globally. Just remember the phrase globally. And this might be the most camera you can get in a phone right now. I was able to test this out for a whole week in China, where I saw some of the most incredible landscapes, a lot of cats, and a lot of dogs. I'm Paul, and this is definitely going to be my favourite phone of the year, and it should win our Reader's Choice Award at the end of this year. However, I don't think it's going to, and there's a reason for that, because there's something holding this phone back.
Oh no, always.
In the Android space in the last 12 months, OPPO have been killing it. First off, the Find X9 Pro, then the Find N6, and I don't know what magic they're cooking up here, but the Find X9 Ultra is peak Android. This has hardware that just no other phone has right now. It feels like OPPO wanted to make the camera first, and then they just happened to stumble across creating also the best Android phone that you can get right now. And while it is the best Android phone around, not everything works perfectly. And annoyingly, it's that camera control button, because right now, if you pick up the Find X9 Ultra and you try and take a photo with the camera control button on the side, sometimes it will work, and then sometimes, no matter how much you press it, it just doesn't work. They're a bit annoying. It does though have every single spec you would imagine it to have. Of course, the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, which you know by now is more than powerful enough to tackle pretty much anything, like video editing and photo editing on this thing will be a breeze. And luckily, its 6.9-inch display is big enough to make doing that just a dream. I do wish that this was a little bit brighter outdoors though. While it can get to 3600 nits of HDR peak brightness, this only sits at around about 1800 nits of peak brightness outside, so sometimes in that direct sunlight, it's a little bit difficult to see. What is also difficult to see is that 20% notification that comes up with the battery, because this is what a flagship battery should be all about. It's just over 7000 mAh, which is smaller than the Find X9 Pro, but compare it to the S26 Ultra and the Pixel 10 Pro XL, it is still miles ahead. I've spent days taking photos and videos on this thing, and I never really tend to get below 20%, and even if I did, there's still then that 100 watt SuperVOOC fast charging, which can get you all the way up to 80% in like no time at all. So it has every top of the line spec that you would expect, making it like the best Android phone around, but I still don't think it's going to be winning any of those end of year awards. If we did give out awards for design though, then this would win, because I think that this might be one of the nicest looking phones I've seen in a long time. It looks like Hasselblad have just designed this phone themselves. It kind of looks exactly like the X2D, and that vegan leather back, it gives it the feel of a real high-end Hasselblad camera. OPPO call this Tundra Ombre, and I love it. You have those small orange accents on the quick button as well, on the camera design, on the back. Like, there's nothing that I don't like about the look of this phone. It's so good. And talking of the cameras, yeah, this is what this phone is all about. There is so much to talk about on this camera, from that 300mm extendable lens to an entire video kit that you can build around this phone, even though I couldn't work out how to open this case. I'm sure this is great. But I didn't use any of those extra bits with the time I had with this phone. I just used those native 4 lenses. That 200 megapixel f1.5 1/1.12 inch sensor, the 50 megapixel ultra wide, and then my 2 absolute favourite lenses, the 200 megapixel 3x telephoto, and then the biggest 10x lens to ever exist in a phone at 50 megapixels. This might be the first time that I've used a phone where there isn't a weak camera. Every camera lens feels like it's the quality of a main. I just can't tell you how much fun I've had playing around with this camera. I took close to 1000 photos in the first few days of having this phone, and I'm kind of obsessed. There's a nice consistency across all 4 of the lenses, so colours are accurate from the ultra wide to that 10x telephoto. I'm tempted to say that this camera might just give me the most true to life colours that I see with my eye when taking that photo. Even giving it difficult situations, it handles them really well. The colours, they're vibrant without seeming too oversaturated, and it handles dynamic range pretty well without crushing the shadows. The natural fall off you can get of close images is great. What I really like is that I can just take a photo and it looks great out of camera. I don't need to play around with any sort of editing. And you get enough colors inside of master mode to create something that kind of replicates a real Hasselblad camera. And I know this sounds like I might be fangirling over the cameras, but honestly, I'm not. Like, let's just compare the 3x lens on the OPPO Find X9 Ultra to the Galaxy S26 Ultra. That 3x sensor on the X9 Ultra is about 300% larger than the one on the Galaxy S26. That means that the 3x sensor on the X9 Ultra is closer to the main sensor on the Galaxy S26 Ultra. You get more light, you get more details, and you can just see for yourself that this kind of isn't really a fair fight. But the party trick for this phone is definitely that 10x optical lens. We've had this in phones before from Huawei and Samsung, but never at 50 megapixels. In low light, it does struggle, and it's kind of the same for moving objects, but in good light, now this is where that camera shines. You just get a complete different vibe using that 10x lens, and a perspective that other lenses just don't give you, and I just keep finding excuses to use the 10x lens. Even the stabilization is impressive because it has sensor shift stabilization, which means that it moves the sensor instead of the lens like optical image stabilization. But honestly, I can't tell you how much I love this 10x lens. Like, so many of these photos look like press images that have been given to me by OPPO. Like, I can't believe that I took some of these, and I feel like that's just down to that 10x lens. Which is why this next bit is so annoying, because I know that this phone is probably not going to win our Reader's Choice Award when it comes to the end of the year. Let me touch on video as well, because man, OPPO, they have cooked here.
Hello. Lovely.
It can give you everything that you might ever need. 8K, 4K 120 on the main 3x lens, the ability to record in log. You can even upload your own LUTs to color grade inside of the gallery app. And I just feel like someone who's much more talented than me could create a movie on this thing. But it's not always just about those pro features, because moving away from that, 90% of the time this thing kills it. Lens transitions are pretty smooth from the 10x to the ultra wide. Its stabilization I'm a big fan of, and I think that this might take the crown of the best video on an Android phone. It can't always be good, like there has to be some downsides to this, and video, that's where I think there's a few little downsides. In low light, it really struggles with lights and flaring. Sometimes it can be very noisy. And annoyingly, I just kept zooming in and out using that quick button all the time by mistake. Like, I had to turn this off pretty quickly.
So annoying.
Log video is a bit annoying to record, and it looks great, but the problem is LUTs. Now, what you have to do is, if you want to use one of the OPPO LUTs, you have to choose to bake it in as you're recording that video. You can't go to your gallery and decide to have one of those pre-made LUTs from OPPO afterwards. Like, for example, you go into the gallery and you can only choose to take this into Rec 709 or your own custom LUTs. You can't add in afterwards some of the OPPO LUTs. So I'm hoping that they will update this in an update at some point, but I don't know when that's coming, if it is coming, but for now, you really need to kind of add this in, I think, OPPO. The Find X9 Ultra, I think it blows every other Android phone out the water. The cameras are way ahead of what Google are doing with the Pixel and Samsung with the S26 Ultra. I feel like the closest you can get right now is the Vivo X300 Ultra, but I think the X9 Ultra wins for having a more user-friendly OS. I even think in terms of its video, this could do more than an iPhone. And I'll say it one more time because I think that this is the best looking phone you can get right now. I mean, just look at it. It's so nice. Here's the problem. I don't know the price of this phone yet. I would say at around $1,500. I know that's expensive, but I still think you probably get the most for your buck at that price. But right now, it is just a guess because I have no idea how much this phone is going to cost. There is one other problem though, and I've said it throughout this video. As good as the Find X9 Ultra is, there is still one thing letting it down. It's the first Ultra phone from OPPO getting a global release, but sadly, that global release does not include the US. You will be able to pick it up in Europe and other places around the world, but sadly, if you live in the US and you want to try and use this phone, you're going to have to think of a different way to get hold of it. And even from here, I can hear that sigh of relief from Google and Samsung that this thing is not coming to the US. I still think this is going to be phone of the year, and I have loved my time with the X9 Ultra, and it's going to be really hard to take this thing out of my hand. The feel of this phone makes me treat it more like a camera than a phone, and I struggle to remember a year where one brand has just killed it release after release, and 2026 really could be OPPO's year. And having said that, that's why it's so disappointing that I know that this phone is not going to win our Reader's Choice Award at the end of the year, and it's because it just doesn't have US availability. Like, a global release is only global if it comes to the US, and I really wish that OPPO did bring this to the States. I want to know what you guys think of this phone though, so I'm going to hang in the comments a little bit, so let's chat about what you think of the Find X9 Ultra. Before you head off, if you can subscribe to the channel, then I would massively appreciate it. And if you do that, then I'll see you in the next one.